Hey guys, and welcome to a special episode of Divine Downloads. I'm recording this live on YouTube while I'm recording for the podcast. And I really wanted to come on today and talk again, follow up on the coronavirus and really add a layer of real talk about discernment and about us taking both practical and spiritual action. If you've been following along, you've probably already listened to my previous podcast. And I want to recommend, if you're just coming to this, that you go back and you do listen to my first podcast on the coronavirus about some practical and spiritual actions you can be taking right now. Since I recorded that podcast, the situation has escalated in the past week, where we've had the travel bans. We have a lot of quote unquote non-essential businesses closing in both Los Angeles and New York, different things being instituted in different parts of the country right now. And we are all being asked to social distance and self-quarantine right now to help flatten the curve of this virus infection. And there's also been a lot of time where all of us need to be practicing discernment. During any big kind of events like this, or any time in our lives, really, whether it's a personal evolution and awakening for us, or it's a collective one like we're going through right now, discernment is something that I teach my clients, thoroughly, because I think it is one of the most important tools for us in our lives. To be able to take the necessary actions on our path for us and for our highest good. And what's going on right now is you are hearing things on the news, as well as hearing things on your social media feeds, on podcasts, on all different sources, both from very practical, grounded perspectives, perhaps watching announcements from the CDC, the World Health Organization, following the crisis as it unfolds, watching doctors get on the news and explain new developments around Corona. As well as, I know if you're listening to this and you're following me, you're also probably following astrologers talking about the astrology right now, different people channeling what this is about and why the coronavirus is happening in a lot of the spiritual world. And on both ends, we need to have discernment, right? Because I really want you to taking information in the upcoming weeks and today and onward. And again, you can apply this to moving forward, not just the situation with Corona, but onwards in your life. I want you to really allow the information to come in and then kind of put it through your operating system, so to speak, is how I like to call it, right? And you can ask yourself, is this helpful? Right? Is this serving me? Is this truly helping me with the next step, right? And, where we are, there are some very practical measures you need to take. And I know that earlier, kind of when this was going on, I got a lot of questions, a lot of people DMing me about other, let's say spiritual people that they were following, that were kind of talking about how, this isn't real and it's blown out of proportion and all the fear, and all sorts of things like that. And, it was really alarming some people, because as you can see from what's going on in the world, people are dying, people are sick, people are quarantined. We are quarantined. I mean, we're practically quarantined here, because so many of the businesses are shutting down. And who knows if within the next week or two, we will all be officially quarantined in our places. And so it does not help. Yes, is it maybe blown out of proportion by the media? Is there a lot of fear going on? Yes, all totally possible. But that doesn't take away from the fact that this is a real thing that's happening on Earth right now. This is a real thing that's happening to our neighbors, our loved ones, our global family. And we need to take the necessary precautions and grounded actions to do what's best for the world right now, and to do what's best for our neighbors, our family, our loved ones, and like I said, our global brothers and sisters. And so that is what a lot of the, you're seeing politically right now. You're seeing very strong measures being enacted for the sake of the global community, for trying to contain this, for trying to squash this before it gets even more out of hand. And so I want to say, yes, we should be listening to the news right now. Yes, we should be paying attention to what's going on, and we should be taking those proper actions. However, you also get to have discernment around the difference between what is helpful and then what is spiraling you into an ungrounded, perhaps fearful place. And so, for instance, for me, I don't have the TV on. I don't have the TV going. I don't have any news channel constantly playing. I am checking in. I get the news on my phone. I am checking in at a couple times during the day. I'm on some text threads with some friends, or we're sharing updates as we check in. Um, and for me, that feels very helpful, right? To have a constant stream of CNN in the background right now, to me, would not be productive, right? I want to know the information. I want to know how to take care of myself. I want to know the latest and what's going on. I do also need time where I can take care of myself, prepare for my family, and show up for you guys by doing things like this, by doing podcasts, by being there for my clients, being there for my community. And so finding that healthy balance of discernment for you, what is the proper balance of intaking information as well as, being responsible. And I'll get a little bit more later in this video podcast. I'm going to talk a little bit more about how we can take those preventative measures, how we can take those social distancing, self-quarantining, preparing our homes and our families from a place of love instead of fear, which I think is really important. But I also want to talk to the other side of discernment. So now we've covered kind of like discernment with a lot of the, let's call it the Western media that's going on right now. But there also is discernment on social media. There is also discernment who you're listening to spiritually, right? And there's a lot of people right now sharing the messages that are coming through for them. And it's still, similarly to the media, important for you to have discernment around what is serving you, to listen to what is feeling good, what is, I had a spiritual teacher tell me, I believe it was Matt Kahn, about 7 years ago or something. Matt Kahn said, when you hear something, if it feels like peace in your body, if it brings you peace in your body, right, then you know that was for you, right? And so sometimes, he was talking in the context of a spiritual teacher, right, that as spiritual teachers, we're here, we're conduits, we're sharing what's coming through our channel, we're sharing, what we can with you, and the intention to be of service. But you, as listeners, also have a responsibility of discernment. You have the responsibility to listen and decide what you want to take, what's helpful, what works, what makes you feel good, what brings you peace, as well as leave, right? What is not helpful, what's not serving you, what doesn't bring you peace right now. And so there's a lot of different talk going on, a lot of conspiracy theories, a lot of different things that are coming up. And I want to just offer that to you as well. Allow yourself to receive these things if it makes you feel excited, if it makes you feel, oh, well, I love listening to this riff about the awakening, or I love listening to what this is clearing out on the planet or whatnot, great, amazing, listen to it. If you're listening to it right now and you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling, what in the world is going on? You're like, am I in the apocalypse, right? If you're listening to it and it's contracting you and it's making you feel overly anxious or overwhelmed, then it's okay to not listen to it right now, because all of us are going to be able to receive things and digest things at different levels. And it's important for you to practice personal discernment around that. Right now, you may need to listen to what's going on with the CDC. You might be listening to your local government to see what restrictions and implementations they're putting into place. You might need to listen to your workplace to see how they're handling it. You might need to be focusing on, where are your relatives? Where are your loved ones? Is everybody taken care of? And if that's what you need to do right now, then be present for that. Honor that knowing, honor that intuition, and handle that. Right? If listening to, someone talk about the collective awakening or whatever is going on is just too much for you right now, I want you to know that that's okay and it doesn't mean anything about you, right? I think there has been this maybe I'm gonna say accidental shaming in this situation where a lot of people in the spiritual community have been saying or implying perhaps that, if you're taking these practical measures or you're feeling worried or anxious about this or you're kind of quote unquote buying into it, right, that you're not of a high vibration or you're not of high consciousness of, whatnot. And I just want to call complete BS on that. First of all, we are all human here, to my knowledge, you know, and yes, we're also all divine. We're all both human and we are divine during this time. And it is important to channel our divine right now. I'll get back into that later, but I want to give you permission to be human, to feel your feelings. And all of us right now are dancing with our shadows, are dancing with our fears, and they're coming out in different ways for each and every one of us, right? So your friend, I've noticed some of my friends have a more of like a food fear, right? Where they're like, I'm not worried about food. Like for me, I was way more worried about water. I was like, we need all the water, right? Some other people are having, financial fear or livelihood fear, right? Are losing jobs. My fiance is a doctor and they might start canceling surgeries, like non-emergency surgeries, and that's his livelihood. And for him, just from a not only a financial level, but also just for an emotional, service level, he feels very helpless if that happens. So people are really coming up against their own stuff right now. And we're all doing that collectively, which is so beautiful. We're all together in this. And so we can have really amazing conversations from that. And I encourage you to open the door for those conversations right now. I encourage you to open the door to, asking people what's coming up for you right now. What's scaring you around this, right? Can we walk through it? My girlfriend Sahara, she shared this on her Instagram, and I think this is a really beautiful example of practical magic, which I love to teach, right? Where she was talking about how, her thing around food and like wanting to make sure they had enough food, she was able to bring herself so much peace from the practical action of just making sure she was stocked up, of just coming up with a game plan. And I think these are the times for that, right? To think about your fear, whatever that fear might be coming up for you, and maybe thinking about a practical game plan. I also saw another amazing light worker, Denise Duffel Thomas, who works a lot with money and talked about some practical money practices you can do right now, to make sure, you're saving, putting certain things on, freezing certain things that maybe you're not even be able to use anyway. I've had so many things get canceled, like appointments and things that I was supposed to do, that I feel like I'm going to save money on that, right? Maybe taking this time to do your taxes if you haven't done your taxes, or, get clear on what you have, cleaning out your pocketbook, seeing if you have gift cards or something that are left in those crevices, right? So thinking about what is that thing that you're fearing and how can we provide perhaps a practical way you can soothe yourself right now, in addition to the spiritual, which I also think is very, very important. I'm doing a workshop tonight, from overwhelm and anxiety to clarity and momentum, which I'll put the link below if you want to join us for that, or you can, if you're listening to this after the fact, you can buy the replay as well. It will be accessible there. And that is also, something right now to really dive deep into your spiritual practice. This is the time to meditate. This is the time to truly, self-reflect, journal, go inside, and we can all go through such a massive awakening during this time. And, just to go back to that, I've heard some things that I just want to call out as BS. I don't know if any of you guys have heard it, and I hope that maybe some of you haven't, but I know some people were talking about, oh, like this virus is here to, eliminate people that are of a low vibration or whatnot. And I just want to say straight up, I don't agree with that. And I just also feel like that's just really hurtful to people whose families and loved ones have been affected by this. I do not think that this virus is choosing certain individuals. I firmly believe that it is a call for all of us to raise our vibration. All of us, which comes with raising our immunity, which comes with doubling down on our spiritual practice. And I do think the fact that we're being encouraged right now to self-quarantine, whether you are in Italy, like some of my viewers that are messaging right now, or or you're in maybe Wisconsin or someplace in the US that hasn't instituted self-quarantining yet. We're all being asked to social distance. We're all being begged to self-quarantine, because when we honor, and it's kind of crazy to me, the amount of resistance that has been happening to this self-quarantining. People are scared of it. And I was talking to my grandma on the phone last night, and I read her this kind of like joke meme that someone posted. It was like, your grandparents' generations were called to war. You're being called to stay at home. You can do this. And I think it's just really, it is reflective of, wow, we have become such a busy culture world, right? That we're asked to being slowed down. We're literally having the pause button pressed on so many of our lives right now, in so many ways, that we are stepping into being at home, being with our loved ones. This is a time where we do have this space to get really clear. That's why I feel so called to offer this workshop, right? We have the space to get really clear on why we're here, on what we're doing, on what gold are we gonna make out of this container that we're given right now. If you think about it, the whole world is almost on pause right now. Corona, in a way, has been the great equalizer of our time, because it doesn't matter what social status you are right now. And yes, I feel horrible, because I will say this is hitting the underprivileged way more severely than it is hitting us who are, middle class and above, because we have the funds and perhaps the savings to get our supplies right now, to be able to handle perhaps being out of work for a little bit. But businesses everywhere are crashing, companies everywhere are crashing. As far as the illness goes, people of all, I think the chief health officer in Italy passed from corona. The chief of Universal Music here, Tom Hanks, is corona. Like the coronavirus is indiscriminate of your social status. And in that way, we all have to protect ourselves. We all have to wash our hands. We all have to be smart about, self-quarantining, about being really diligent about that our actions are not just for us, they're for our global community. And we have the power to pause this, right? And so I just, I wanted to get on here because, like I said, I've heard other theories, and I don't even want to get into some of them, because I don't want to seed anything right now. But what I want to really encourage, one, is your practical responsibility. I love you. I love you. If you're listening to this podcast, if you're watching this on YouTube, if you are in my community, I want you to know that I love and I care for you, and your well-being matters to me, and your mental health matters to me. And I will continue to be here and be a support for you during this time. And so please, if there are other videos or other questions or things, reach out to me, DM me, comment, right? If this is going to help a friend of yours, send it to them. And I'm going to include the links in below for if you just want to get on my newsletter list, because I'm going to be constantly sending out, whether it's podcasts, free guided meditations, different online offerings, so that we can be supported during this, and we can really use this time to alchemize, this kind of base metal into gold. And we can really utilize this time at home to not only get deep rest and really cultivate intimacy with our loved ones, but also for us to get to do some beautiful reflection, of us to get centered. One of the things that I will be doing another podcast on that I just want to touch on right now as well is this is a time where we're all being called to share our medicine. We're all being called to step up and be the light. If you're listening to this, this was originally called the Lightmaker Podcast. It is because you are a light maker. It is because you have a special medicine that you can give this world, that you can give your family, you can give your community. And right now, maybe that is being the person in your home that is taking care of stocking groceries, that's making sure everything is sanitized, that's being, the rule bearer when it comes to everybody washing their hands when they come in, that's making people self-quarantine. Maybe that's you sharing on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube here your gifts. Maybe that's offering your Reiki or offering your counseling or whatnot, right? But right now is a time to show up. This is a time that's going to go down in history. And, one of the things that I always think about, when crazy things are happening in our society, and I feel like that's happened in different ways in the past couple years, is when your kids learn about this in school, if you have kids, or maybe it'll be your nieces or nephews or whoever, right? The next generation learns about this, and they come to you and they ask you, what were you doing during that time? Right? I want to be really proud of what I get to tell them. I want to be able to say, mommy was trying to help keep people calm. Mommy was trying to spread peace in that time. She was doing podcasts and giving out guided meditations and holding online workshops and holding space for people. Mommy prepped our house, stocked our house so that, me and dad were safe or whatnot, right? And like I said, like right now, you guys, you see who I am and what my medicine is in this situation. That might not be yours, but we all have medicine, right? And whether that's in keeping your community safe, sharing information to your loved ones, staying connected, being the person, a great service right now is going to be the person in your friend group that starts having FaceTimes with your friends, that starts instituting Zoom coffee dates or tea dates or green juice dates or whatever, right? Because we need people, and I want you to reach out to people in your life right now that are alone, people that are immunocompromised, people that are elderly, people, anyone right now, everyone right now is going through something. Everyone is receiving this information, and our nervous systems are all handling it on different levels based on the work we've done, where our consciousness is, the practices we have. And if you are someone that's watching this that has a spiritual practice, that has resources, that has tools, even if it's sending someone a sound bath that you like on YouTube, even if it's sending someone this podcast or sending someone a guided meditation, right? Something to bring them peace, sending someone a list of antiviral foods, right? We all get to be the light in the situation with our community, with the people that we contact with. We all get to we live in a world of TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, right? Where we get to spread love. And so that brings me to my last point that I really wanted to hit is you get to take actions right now from a place of love instead of fear, right? And so what that means is that we don't have to stock up on endless toilet paper, clean out the grocery stores, but we absolutely get to keep enough supplies in our house to be self-quarantined for 2 to 3 weeks and know that we're taking care of our family. We get to do that from a place of love, because why are we doing that? We're not only doing that from a place of love for ourselves and our loved ones, but we're doing that from a place of love for everybody else, because it's benefiting the whole community around us and our nation for us to self-isolate at this time. It's benefiting everyone when we take those measures to flatten the curve, right? When you have, I had a workshop that I canceled last weekend, right? Because I was like, I'm not going to be encouraging people to gather in person right now when this is going to spread that way. I don't want to, as much as I want to see all of you guys in person and I want to squeeze you and I want to hug you and I want to tell you, it's all going to be okay. I would love nothing more than that. That's irresponsible right now. And so I think taking all those necessary precautions, but taking it from a place of this is where we get to show up, how we show up. I think this is a beautiful example of how we each show up individually has a massive ripple effect on the world. And it's something that myself and other spiritual teachers have been trying to say forever, right? That how you show up on any given day, by you shining your light, by you being in a place of love, you are a teacher, but you just standing in that ground yourself. And now we're seeing that by us taking these measures, by us standing up in this way, we are a teacher. And you being able, I've had some of my girlfriends saying, that they are, they're not life coaches or spiritual teachers or meditation teachers or anything like that, but they are holding that position for their family right now. They are helping calm their family members who are in anxiety right now. And that is of great service. That is of great service, because the more that we can get grounded in the present right now, and we can take the necessary practical actions that give us the peace of mind, the more that we can truly use this experience to uplift our world, to uplift each other, to come closer together than ever, to be more united than ever, to be more aware of global good than ever, right? We have that power. And I'll just close this podcast and this video with a mantra. I did a live Instagram last night, and I'll be doing live Instagrams every day during this to be there with you guys to support. So if you don't follow me on Instagram, you can check me out on Instagram at Cassandra Bodzak if you want to interact with me live in that way. I'll also try to be doing more of these YouTube lives as well to give you a chance to interact. And of course, in my workshop, from anxiety and overwhelm to clarity and momentum, you'll be able to ask me questions and interact with me in that way as well. So I hope you'll join me for that. But I got a question last night on Instagram Live, and she was asking, when the fear stirs up and she gets anxiety, what is there any mantra or tool she can practice? And a very simple one that is very helpful for me that I wanted to pass on is simply saying, right now, right here, in this moment, I am safe, I am healthy, I am protected. Right now, right here, in this moment, I am safe, I am healthy, I am protected. And to allow yourself in those moments where maybe you watch something on the news, or a friend sends a text, or sees you something, it says something that triggers you, we have the opportunity to reground ourselves in that moment and bring ourselves back to the truth of that we are safe, that we are healthy, that we are protected, or whatever, words you want to say. You want to say, I am loved. That works as well, to help us recalibrate so that we can once again move forward and take right action from a place of love instead of from a place of being triggered or being fearful or being scared, right? We get to reground, and it doesn't mean we don't take that practical action. It doesn't mean we don't do what's best for ourselves and our family and the world, but we get to do it from a more peaceful place. So I hope this was helpful for you. If you liked it, give me a thumbs up on YouTube, share the podcast with your friends. And like I said, I'll include the links below for you to hop on my mailing list if you want to be aware of free guided meditations, other spiritual updates regarding this, as well as all of my online offerings that I'll be sharing to help you move through this. I love all of you, and I hope to see you and support you through this. Bye.